All right. Hello, everyone. Um, well, today is the second day of the CET experience. It's October 10th, and I would like to talk to you today about elevating your drawings in CET. What does that mean? Well, first, I just want to tell you a little bit about me. Thank you for joining me. My name is Nikki Swiegard. I've been working with CET for almost 10 years, a little over 9. I'm a senior designer at Sheppard's Business Interiors, otherwise known as SBI in Omaha, Nebraska. We're a Steelcase dealership, so those are the symbols that I use the most. And last year, I submitted for Best Success Story and won the first place honor at the CET Experience of 2022. There's a picture of me with my trophy, and this is my family, my husband, my daughter, and my son. So here's what we want to talk about today. What do we need to create a masterpiece and elevate your drawings? And just for fun, I threw in a cake analogy, mostly because I've binge watched Nailed It many times. And I also have a huge sweet tooth. And why not? So I'm going to talk to you about SketchUp and show you a few things that can help your drawings and just step up your game a little bit. The Material Explorer and the Edit Graphics tool, which I love and I hate because it can do a lot of things. It's just learning how to use it properly. So for fun, I also have this lovely photo from Nailed It. The one on the left is the possibilities for your renderings. Would you like it to look like the one on the left? Or would yours currently look like this and maybe just needs a little bit of help? Okay, so what you're seeing now is my real world examples of how I was able to kind of take my drawing and step up the drawing and impress the client. And I will say, like with these in particular, it was in a NICU facility in the hospital, and I was able to find symbols in SketchUp. I edited my seating, added flooring materials and paint, and the client was blown away that they saw the equipment that is in a typical room in the NICU. I also wanted to show you another rendering that shows a foosball table, because I'd say, you never know when you need to show someone that. And instead of just having a space or a box where you would type in the words foosball table, you can go ahead and throw one in there. And I know the client thought that was pretty cool. So, all right, let me get started diving in. So SketchUp, I just wanted to reference as frosting your cake. So you've created your drawing and now you need to add finishing touches. Here's the first layer of frosting, which also makes me a little hungry. So this slide is really just me showing you how to start. I'm going to go ahead and dive into our CET. Bear with me here. So what we're going to do is we're going to open our SketchUp on our tabs. For me, I have to scroll a little bit. All right, there's SketchUp. And I had highlighted 3D Warehouse. So you would click that. It'll take you right to 3D Warehouse. You may have to sign in for purposes of me showing you this. I am currently signed in. And I am going to type in foosball table. Then you hit enter. First, it's going to show you products. These are actual products that a manufacturer is putting out in SketchUp for you to download. I personally like to go with models. These are things that people have built themselves and then made available on the website to download. So maybe your client has one already purchased. In many cases, they might have already purchased one or they have one existing. And so then they might be able to tell you like what color it is and so on. So what you need to do is download the 2023 file. And then it will show up mostly in my downloads. If you have the right settings, it'll also show up right here. And for purposes here, I'm going to delete the one I currently have. Let's say we want to put it right there. Looks a little crazy. But maybe this is not exactly what you need. Maybe it's a different color. I will show you. You can definitely make this what you need it to be. But for right now, that's a very simple step-by-step. We went to 3D Warehouse. We downloaded our symbol. We've got it inputted in our drawing. And then in the case of my like NICU rendering, I searched for very specific thing, like if I knew what the equipment was called, then I would just type that in and see what happens. I've used it a lot for recycling bins, trash cans, like it's amazing what is available out here. So without getting too in the weeds, I'm going to go right to our next step, which is the Material Explorer. And I would say I'm just deciding to call this decorations. So we applied the frosting. Now we need to add color and fun, which I guess I could also say would be your flooring, your paint colors, that sort of thing. So let's toss them on and learn to navigate the tool. And I just had to say, get it, materials. You're adding the materials to your cake. There's a little sprinkles and some frosting. Again, it's making me hungry. Okay, so Material Explorer. I always prefer to go to Material Explorer versus just material. And I will just tell you, in many cases, that material button, it works a little bit differently and it takes a lot longer to open. So here is our Material Explorer. I'm going to jump back into CET. You can follow along. We've got, it looks like a little fan deck. And then this is one of my favorite tools, Material Explorer. We have all these materials, which is awesome. And for purposes of just showing basic things like carpet, we can update our flooring quickly with a quick, and you know, sometimes I can find things that look exactly like what their flooring currently is or what they're going to be ordering. I mean, there's some very dramatic looking materials. And then I'd say for wall colors, if I'm not going to find a specific, say I just want my rendering to look nice and I don't know what their paint color is, I like to go to paint. And maybe we'll just find a very nice gray. I guess that's kind of a green gray, but that's simple steps. What I really want to dig into for purposes of the Material Explorer today is that you can apply different fabrics and things that you've maybe saved to your computer. And how you want to do that is currently we have chairs. Most chairs will let you just apply to a cushion simply. So we're going to click on Material Lab. First, you have to click on a random color. It literally doesn't matter. So just any of these little circles. Click Material Lab. And we're going to go scroll down until you find the drop down. Here. Basically, I need it to say browse because I'm going to browse my computer for essentially, I personally like to save things in my clients folders. You can save it on your desktop also, wherever you want, but just somewhere where you can find it again, essentially. Don't lose it. Okay, so I am just going to grab one of these. You know, these are fabrics. They're fun. And you can change the sizes. You can change the, I try not to get too deep into this, but let's see, maybe this one's not cooperating, of course. Defined. So we're digging in. I'm gonna do this one. First, I want to show you how you can just apply a fabric. So we have a green, but I really want to bring mine in. So I'm going to open it. And change my dimensions of it. Okay. And I need to figure out why it's not cooperating. There. Okay, so there is your fun pattern that you can apply to a chair. I can apply it to all my chairs. I can even apply it to this. So just a little tip on how you can bring in, say, your actual fabric. And I will stop there with Material Explorer because what I want to show you is how we're going to say this is not the right scale and on our chair. And maybe they said, you know what, we ordered this in a yellow and not whatever the SketchUp symbol is showing. So let's go back to cakes, which is not going back to my, okay. So I want to talk about edit graphics, which again, it's a love-hate thing, but one of my very favorite things to play with. And essentially, if your stuff doesn't look quite right, you need it to be a special size. You need to add different scales of your fabrics. Let's walk through the steps to finish with extra flair. So here's how we get there. You click on the little wrench tool. We're going to click on Make It Editable. And it should turn yellow, like in this picture. You can stretch it. You can do all kinds of things, which I will show just a few little things. And gonna dive back into my CET. Go right to our Edit Graphics meshes. There is an Edit Graphics symbols, which is much more simplified And maybe some people are just comfortable using this. It's really just for stretching and it's fine, but this one definitely is the one I use the most because it gives you much more flexibility and options. So first you basically click this and one of your items will turn blue. And now it'll be yellow. So yellow means it's ready to go. And say this chair is 2 feet wider. I'm going to click on this chair, but what you really need to do is make sure you're grabbing the whole chair. So little trick, click with your finger the control button and watch how the entire thing is yellow. That's what you want. You don't want it to be separate. Click on this little stretch button and we're going to, make sure you're clicking the right area. You could make it taller, you can make it shorter. These boxes are great. In this instance, I'm going to click here. See that? The best thing that I like to do is just type in, because, you never know exactly where you're going to land with this. So for, let's see, right now, what are we sitting at? 2'10". So we need to add 2 feet. So we're gonna do 4 feet. Now you almost have a little love seat. It has done a little bit of a crazy thing to our fabric. So let's see if we can do anything with that. Here's our fabric again. In our Material Explorer, we're gonna go make it a little bit smaller. See that? Just a little bit better scale. We can also add it to these. And then another thing we can do with Edit Graphics is click on our SketchUp symbols and we can edit these colors with our Material Explorer again and say they actually have this color, which I know is beautiful. And it's just so easy. I love that, we could make this bigger. We can definitely stretch this. You can get into, I don't know how far you want me to go, but I love the fact that we can copy things. You can copy pieces. Say you just want to copy the foosball people. All of a sudden, you've got these to play with. You can do that with table bases. I mean, it's endless the amount. I could probably do a whole class on that, but I won't do that today. So let's see. But now we have a table base that we can always go back, go to our Material Explorer. Maybe that base is going to be blue. And maybe it's going to go under there. And we don't want that base, so we always have a delete button, which is also super helpful. And hey, that's not tall enough. Well, now it is. Obviously, I feel like this would be very tippy, but hopefully that sort of makes sense. And what I'm really hoping that you take away from this is all of the things in your drawing are set, but what else can you do to add to it? And maybe that means you're really blowing the client away by, you can add their exact paint color. You can add their flooring. But I would say those 3 tools you will use the most. We have our Material Explorer, which maybe they don't have carpet. Maybe they have wood. There's quite a few options in here where you can always go in and kind of edit that yourself. And maybe these are different colors, materials. We can also go back into SketchUp and maybe they have a ping pong table. So let's see. There's always the search button. And so many options. If you don't have a manufacturer that has an actual symbol, just remember you need to download, go into the SketchUp file, go back here, and grab your symbol. I've downloaded quite a few different things. And sometimes you get lucky, but so here's a hospital baby bassinet. That's how it started. And then I edited all the colors and things just to match like what they actually had in the hospital. So go back here. So hopefully we have nailed it. Reference to the pictures below. We want your renderings to look like the cake on the left, and to really stand out instead of the basic renderings, which probably don't look quite that bad, I would say, but you know, there's just more places to go. So, do you have any questions? I'm happy to answer any. We can dig into other things more if you want. And then today's class is also available as a CEU. You can get credit for this if you have the IDCEC app on your phone. All you need to do is scan this QR code. And I will say the regular QR code scanner, that's not relevant to this. You really need to have that app in order to get the credit. So I can leave this up for a few seconds longer so you can log in and do all that if you need. And then if you have more questions, please feel free to contact me. There's my email address and Swiegard at sbi-omaha.com.